I feel real good about myself because I watched the Alpough Show. Everything's cool. Can't wait. Show starts now. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alpough Show, the Human Spirit Experiment, where we will be talking to the fabulous Het Heru. Where you at? Oops, wrong picture. There you are. I got her. She's coming on today here. That's our Amber Wednesday here. If you haven't, you're not familiar with her, this is her website called Het Heru's Chamber, and how to balance your chakras with smell. For more than 15 years, Het Heru's Chamber in Las Vegas, Nevada has been combining the mysticism and spirituality of ancient Egypt and India, along with our acute knowledge and aromatherapy to create a line of wellness products. She provides customers around the world with essential oil blends as well as body and hair products reminiscent of ancient Egypt. If you haven't gone on to her website, she's Het Heru. Mayat Karu is named after the aspect of creation that reflects love, music, beauty, and dance in the Kemetic teaching. Since 2004, she has been guiding her patrons to deep dimensions of inner sanctity through the sense of smell. Additionally, Het Heru is a master Kemetic yoga teacher and spiritual intuitive. She channels her knowledge of yoga, the teachings of ancient Egypt, and her intuitive gifts into her products to help you connect to your sacred self. Het Heru is available for intuitive readings. Please contact her for more information at info@het.ru. So we're very happy to have her. Now, before we get started here, please subscribe to my channel. You can't just subscribe. You've got to press that bell. I am basically shadow banned. They don't want to talk about spiritual things on YouTube. They want to talk about conflict, news, how people hate each other, how people should not even be talking to each other. So we're just so excited to be able to bring this to you. But remember, please smash that button. Let's get our heads out of the sand and let's bring in. Ladies and gentlemen, you're in for a treat. On today's Alpough Show, we have the great guest Het Heru, who knows all about chakras, yoga, and essential oils. Give her a big hand. Welcome, Het Heru. How are you?
Hi, Michael. I'm well. How about you?
Good. Let me get my little technical difficulties out of the way here.
Oh, good. Okay.
Where are we? There we go. Let's bring you in here. Wait a minute. There we go. And there we go. There we go. Now we got you.
Now you got me.
I love the purple you have on tonight.
You like purple because the last time I put purple on, you said the same thing. You're a purple person, huh?
Well, look at my background.
Yes. Yes.
I
do look at your background.
Yeah, I love the color of purple. So we got a lot going on here today. We're going to be talking about order, right? This is the
order.
Today. Yeah. You want to give a brief sort of synopsis of that, and then I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then we'll bring it all back.
Okay. I was thinking, I told you I always call on the ancestors for guidance to give you information that's helpful to you. Okay, it's all about helping you in these challenging times. And I thought, I said, wow, even the show was called Law and Order. I find it interesting that what precedes the the seven principles of Ma'at, which means truth in the Kemetic teachings, that it's truth, righteousness, law, and then order, and how one works with the other. It's difficult, if possible, to find order without law preceding it. The other thing I was aware of, because oftentimes, after I complete my session with you folks, the ancestors will continue to speak to me, and they'll give me more information that they want me to share with you. And with regards, someone called me. I was doing a reading basically, and so I found that interesting, Michael, that you were talking about the fact that I do readings. But I had done a reading recently, a few days ago, and this person was very, she's so, as often is the case, she wanted to know if there was going to be somebody special in her life. And I just simply told her truth, righteousness, law, order, that when you become someone special in your life to you, then through the law of attraction, you will attract that right and perfect person for you. But it's when we start making an assertive, well, okay, they say you take one steps toward the infinite and it takes 10 steps towards you. So it's not like you just sit around and wait, but you're not going to find that special person. The order is, unless you are someplace where that special person can find you. In other words, make sure that you have a social life. You might prefer to be someplace where the people of like mind are there, uh, where you are. Church is often suggested. I always find it funny when they say, look in the produce department in a grocery store. Uh, why I find that funny is that chances are you're not going to find me in a produce department in a grocery store, because, cooking is, I can cook. I've cooked for many years, but I'm such a social person. I enjoy getting out. Anyway, so it's important to create order in your life. And it can be a simple matter of beginning with your home. If your home isn't in order, then it behooves you to put it in order. Get rid of the things that are no longer serving you. That might even, hi there, that might even be the person that's in your life, people who are in your life. I have a standing joke with my friends, and they know I say this in all love, that I must get a better class of friends. Well, sometimes that's, in my case, my friends are wonderful. But I've learned through the years to be more selective, because not everyone is going to gel with you. And there's no reason to force things, to force relationships. Be who you are. Live in your truth. Be who you are. Live in your truth. Be righteous, which means accept yourself as a spiritual being. Okay, you don't have to be religious per se, but be a spiritual being, which means that you're aware of that you are a multidimensional being, and that you are living in your truth. You're living in a conscious way, a caring way, a loving way. In shows truth, righteousness, law. Understand that there are laws that govern the universe, just like the law of attraction. Just what I was just saying earlier. If you want to bring those special souls into your life, or that one special soul into your life, then work with the law of attraction. Be that, for wherever thought goes, energy follows. Wherever you are in consciousness, that's what you attract to. You see, this is what I love about this. If things are not going the way you want them to go in your life, to go outside of yourself to attempt to fix it. I mean, there's some of that involved, but for the most part, it's time to check yourself. What's going on in your own state of consciousness? For you to sit back and want to harm other people, for finding ways of constantly finding fault with other people, constantly criticizing, that's a challenge. I won't lie about that. That's a challenge for me. And I find it the most when I'm out dancing, and I find like Are you there?
Yeah,
I see the buffer.
your streaming went out. Do you have your blue?
Are you with me?
Yeah, your stream is going.
Okay. All right. Is it okay? It's okay.
No, do you have your Ethernet cord connected?
Yes, I
Hmm.
rotating, right?
I no, you're breaking up. You just all of a sudden went. Let's see.
Okay.
Come up. Yeah, I think you're coming back.
Taping it right. Mhm.
I think you're coming back. Give me a one, two, three. Test me.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Keep going. Go ahead.
Okay. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
But I'm just saying that order means begin with your life. Sometimes people want to put everybody else's life in order and they're not dealing with their own lives. Do what you need to do to put your life in order. All right. Even if it's just putting a room in order, an apartment, a house in order, your closet in order, because that has a profound effect on your state of consciousness. Right now, as we're switching into the different seasons and it's warming up, so we're switching the type of clothing that we wear. Even those of us who live here in Nevada, it can get on the cooler side, but now it's starting to get on the hotter side. So you take the things that you're not wearing and you put them someplace else, and in order, you put the things that you or the clothing that you are going to wear. In relationships, if you're involved in a relationship that's not value to you, someone that is constantly keeping you down or depressed or any of those things, it behooves you to check to see if that person is in the right order for you. If you have a job that's, most of us are going to work the majority of our lives, it behooves you to find work that you don't mind doing for the next 20, 30, 40 years. Now, I have to be honest with you, I've never done well with jobs, something in my personality.
Oh,
And so
really?
I figured, yes, yes, you know this one too.
Yeah, I know that well.
You know it well. So I figured out a long time ago it's advantageous for me to be self-employed. And that's not everyone's calling, but I know me well enough to know. I know Michael well enough to know that for us it's better to be self-employed. So it's about bringing that value to your life, and in the process you're putting your life in order.
One of the most important things that I tell people, when if you're looking for a relationship, it's so interesting that that's all here coming today. I love it. Just seems like everything
Mm,
always comes
yeah,
together when we come together on this day. I
true.
saw a TikTok video today from this lady said she had been with an intuitive who
Hmm.
told her today,
Hmm.
today she was going to find her husband.
Wow.
And the
Bless her
husband
heart.
was going to appear. And
Okay.
I
All
would,
right. Well,
I literally I have no idea what she paid this lady. Okay.
okay.
But she literally gave her the absolutely wrong um, advice that you could possibly to give someone. Now,
Mhm.
you know, the whole thing is, and I want to add to the point of what you were saying, and that is whenever someone says, well, I'm looking for the right person. Okay, so first thing first, who's in the way?
Mhm.
Who is in the way of
Mhm.
you finding that right person? Is it you or is it other people? And one of the most important and critical, and maybe it might be cruel, but it's very truthful. You have to get rid of the losers in your life. If
Yeah.
you want to bring someone in your life, you need to make room for them.
Right.
And if other people, I call them the losers, those are the
Mhm.
ones who bring you down.
Mhm.
Okay. It's easier to pull someone off of a chair with one hand. Okay. If you're
Mhm.
up above, you can be pulled down by losers. And that's part of, you want to call it putting yourself in a perfect place. Well, yeah, that's part of it is being able to prepare yourself for that person. Now, and I wanted to reiterate what you were saying. It's about preparing yourself. You prepare yourself to be the best you.
That's
Okay.
right.
Because most of the time, and I want your comment on this.
Mhm.
Most of the time, people are looking for you to fill up what the loss they have.
Mhm.
And that's not how relationships work. What do you think about that?
Well, I totally agree with you. I was asked to speak at a wedding many years ago. In fact, that's where I met my third husband because I needed a ride, and the bride sent him to pick me up. And he at that time said yes, and I've been picking her up ever since then. But I spoke at the wedding, and she wasn't real pleased with what I had to say because that was the point I made, that we don't marry in order to fill a void. We learn to fill our own void. We do it through meditation, through self-discovery, basically. Consequently, through the law of attraction, we will attract that person that meets us. There's no saying, I meet no one but me. And so consequently, you will, instead of trying to, and this was the point I made at the wedding, instead of there being two halves don't make a whole, not in relationships. You become whole. And consequently, through the law of attraction, you will attract as water.
Let's see. You're breaking up here. Give me.
Over the crap, because as one moves to the top, the another reaches up and pulls it back into.
You're breaking up there, Heteru. Can you hear me? Bummer. There you are. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. So that little last part, you broke
about
up.
the barrel of crabs.
You were you talking about being at the wedding and the lady didn't
I
exactly.
Wow, I wonder
Okay.
what's going on here.
I
Um,
mean, it could be the area right now.
yeah,
You know.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
But you have
yeah,
your blue wire plugged in there, right?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was just saying she wanted me to speak at her wedding, but I don't think she expected me to say what I said. But I'm speaking truth, and the truth is we don't look for someone to fill the hole, the emptiness. You don't. Two halves do not create a whole. It You have two halves. That's all you have. So the more we can do to create wholeness within ourselves, and through the law of attraction, water seeks its own level, you will attract that person that has wholeness within himself or herself. Now, it doesn't mean that there's less love. It means there's less dependency, codependency. And then I was saying that in alignment with what you were saying about losers doing what losers do to other folks. There's no saying about a barrel of crabs. You don't need to put a top over a barrel of crabs. You can leave the top off because just as one crab makes it to the top, another reaches up and pulls it back down. And that's what happens when you hang out with folks that are not aspiring to find that wholeness within, to find that order within.
Also, and I know I'm married. I'm very happily married. We have a very good marriage. Love you, honey. But we've really had to work hard on it.
Mhm.
Part of it understanding is that her mistakes are my mistakes. My mistakes are her mistakes. See, we're a
Mhm.
team,
Right.
and so no matter what, when you think of it in terms, it actually allows you to make less mistakes when
Mhm.
you understand that each other is going to be responsible for each other's mistakes.
Mhm.
So, and that also allows a freedom of knowing I've got your back.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, part of this may be learning for everyone is you have to learn how to get your own back.
Mhm.
Okay. And understand that you have to get better. The better you are, the
Mhm.
better you will attract the right person for
Yeah.
you. Now that
And,
may take. Go ahead.
no, well, I was just going to say, as my mother used to say, you can't mix, but you can't measure. So you cannot find that wholeness within somebody else unless you know it within you, and then you're just being who you are. You're living in your truth, and then in living in that truth, you automatically see that in others who have found that wholeness within.
That's such a great point. Now we're talking about we were talking about order here, and I love it because I have a few questions for you
Okay.
because we both between us we've both been around quite a while. That's a brag, everybody. So I would rather have experience now. So I have a couple. I got a couple questions I want to run you by. Of course, a lot of things have changed here. So the first one is the world better today than in 1973?
I think so. I think so. And I think so because it's doing what it's supposed to do. See, I'm not stuck in this illusion about this place. I know that it's on its way toward becoming a sacred planet, and that cannot happen until there's a certain amount of growth. I did not create this planet. And so I'm participating in it. And if it's supposed to be that it's no longer needed, what the heck can I do about that? I don't believe that my life begins or ends here. Life is, always has been, always shall be. So, yes, I think so. It's difficult. Now, if you'd asked me, is it any more difficult than 1973? I would have said yes.
Yep, and most of that has to do with inflation. You know,
That's a part of it, but that's a part of it. But there's disease. There's loneliness. There's all sorts of things that we human beings who are having this earthly experience are having to deal with in order to grow. See, if it was all just mellow and laid back and stayed the same, why bother to come here? This is a school. It's not the only one we have, but it is a school. We're here to learn specific things. We're here to graduate. I'll share something with you. And I may have shared this with you before, but it's one of the for me, most profound things that were said to me years ago in the 70s. I met Indra Devi, my yoga teacher's home in Baja, California. Her husband was a brilliant man by the name of Dr. Siegfried Knauer. And Doctor had this ability. He was an internist, German gentleman, who would place his hands over your body and he could feel when the energy wasn't flowing properly through your body, through the meridians in the body. He had one hand in his pocket. I didn't know until years later what was in his pocket was a pendulum. He didn't touch you. He just could feel the energy currents. And then if the energy felt blocked, he had a remedy for that. He would give you injections. He said it came from a prehistoric hole in Austria. So anyway, my husband used to refer to him as a goat doctor, whatever that meant. But I'm at their home. It's Easter. And Mataji, who I never thought of as a domestic person, this is a lady that was born into Russian nobility. And even there at her home, she had folks that took care of the house for her and the surroundings and so forth. She's in the kitchen. Doctor and I are having a conversation at the table. We're sitting at the kitchen table. Mataji's futzing around at the counters. Doctor and I couldn't even tell you what we were talking about, but whatever it was one of those almost light bulb moments. But I said, wow, doctor, you mean we have to get to that place where, and I couldn't even tell you what I said. All I know is that Mataji came over to and stood by Dr. Kanau, stood by her husband. And in unison, they said, and she called everyone darling. She says, darling, she says, there's no place to go. You only become. And that has stayed with me for the rest of my life because up to that point, I was always taught you're going to go to heaven. You're going to go to whatever. You're going to go to hell or no place to go. You only become. So the more we put effort into becoming, and in our Aquarian age, the becoming is the realization that we are the infinite made definite, that we are the infinite, that instead of following someone, we know who and whose we really are. And we act in that as well.
Preach it, girl, preach it.
Hi.
Next question. Would you
Yes.
like to be growing up in this world today?
Yes.
Really? So you
I
want
don't
to
have any. This is, and when you look at history, gosh, look at history. European history is not that great. You know, history, when I was a kid, born in Indianapolis, Indiana, I was born in 1950 and, went to school there, of course, for the most part until I was 16 and went to Pennsylvania. They gave us basically European history. And a lot of that history, and I'm sure at some lifetime I had a European incarnation. So, but when we look at the histories of through the mankind's being, it hasn't been all that great. Can you imagine what it was like back in the days when there were no toilets, no water, no, there were diseases that people had no remedies for. There, women didn't have sanitary napkins. The birthing situation, maybe that was one of the better situations, because from what I understood from a obstetrician whose name escapes me right now, but some of you folks remember him. He wrote a book, several books, but he said the reason now women lie down in order to give birth, that was not the intended way. The intended was to be upward so that we had the pull of gravity to help the child to come forward, but or come through. But what happens, one of the King Louis had a consort who was pregnant, and it was time for her to give birth. He wanted the doctor to face this woman in a position where he could be behind the curtain and look and watch what took place. So he had her lying on a bed or couch or whatever it was, facing the king, so that the king could see this process. Well, from that point on, that it was like, oh, well, this is, the king said this is the way we should be doing it. And therefore that's, that became a popular way of doing it. So saying all that to say, yes, because I'm only here to assist the process and the progress of this planet.
So I'm going to answer that question myself.
Okay.
Okay, so would you like to be growing up in this world today, Michael? Well, I am growing up in this world.
Oh, okay. So what choice do you have?
So I'm
that's right.
Literally what I want to be born today. No. But so I believe I'm still growing up in this world.
Yeah.
So great answer. Let's get to the next one.
He thinks there's right and wrong about these answers, but that's okay. Go for it.
I'm just commenting.
Okay.
Because there is. Oh gosh, I don't want to say there's a wrong answer. Anyway, this is just about thought.
Okay.
Number 3, why do women seem to be struggling with identity more than ever? Now you've done a lot. You've had a lot of clients, so that's why I'm asking you this question in order.
Okay. Well, okay, because for so long we have placed our survival on men, and then we have had information given to us, or on others, but predominantly men, that we have to be someone that we think a man would want us to be, and we get that information through movies and through television and through. Okay, see, this is what's ridiculous about, and through religion as well, but. You have somebody in your life. This is what I love about this time. Women go to school or get some type of trade, and they can be financially independent. Therefore, somehow or other, you end up in a relationship. And if you'll recall, there was a time when that's what women had to do. They had to marry in order to survive. But we don't have to do that anymore. And therefore, we don't have to be with someone that isn't a fit. See, that there's no mutuality other than survival. He needs her to create children so that they can work the farms, et cetera, et cetera. Now we don't need to do that. Now we can be with someone that's more in alignment with us, more in order with us. So, but consequently, it is accepting an image of someone. It's also a lot of misinformation, because one of the things I know, several things, but 2 things in particular I know about men, at least the men in my life and the men that I've observed, is when they want a woman, they'll do almost anything to have that woman. It's just something that clicks.
I said yes.
Yes, it's true.
Absolutely. No, without a doubt.
Yeah. My first husband met me for a few minutes, I'm living in Indiana. He's living, this Bill Harriman, he's living in California. He sees me. He asked for my address. I gave him my address. I didn't even know him that well. It's just basic. I get home back to Indianapolis. There's two. This is back in the days of airmail. There's two letters thrown on my bed from him. I'm in love with you. My life has changed. I want you to marry me. And it's like, oh Lord, what is this? And I wrote him back. I said, these are beautiful letters, but you're going way too fast for me. He slowed it down. He slowed it down. And of course, we were together for 20 years.
That I like what you said. That there's more options today. When you
Yeah.
broke it down like that, when you don't go, you don't even have to go back that far to where a woman had to have man as an identity. That's why they took the name on.
Mhm.
Um, Education has a lot to do with it, and I really think, and what is coming up to my next question is, and I think it kind of goes in, is what is the biggest conflict happening between men and women today? Because I think men are changing also, in what they identify with. Now, people are getting less and less married. Now, I'm not someone. I married, but I didn't get married till I was 59. So, you know, I waited quite a while before I, actually settled down, settled for the right person. I don't think marriage is for everybody. It's not, and relationships are not necessarily that you're going to be with someone forever. I mean, it's not, I'm going to be with my wife forever.
Mhm.
But again, once you come over the path, where us, it's totally different. Okay. I'm a totally different person. Before Tracy, I didn't go out on a date for like 7 years. And part of that
Mhm.
was preparation myself. I realized that I was the one who needed to work before I could attract someone. It wasn't that I wasn't a good guy, but it was just
Right.
more like, I didn't know it was going to take that many years. Okay. But
Mhm.
again, I'm such a better person
Mhm.
um, for myself now, which allowed me to be a better person than I am now.
I am
So,
certainly not the right woman for every man. I know that. I live in a state of consciousness and in a world that many men are not comfortable with. But I am the perfect woman for the perfect man.
go deeper into that.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you, years ago, I had my best friend. She and her then boyfriend had a friend, a gentleman, who worked for the LA Times. And they thought, this was after Harriman had passed away and I was starting to date again. They had a friend, that this friend they thought would be a good choice for me. And so he invited me out to go hear music over at the bowl there. And it was, I don't recall which conductor it was, but the music was from the Witches of Eastwick. And so he invited his teenage daughter to go as well. I had no problem with that. So she found out that I was into yoga, and somehow or other, the conversation went, because of the music, it went to talking about esoteric things, and in particular about witches. Now, the father, the gentleman that invited me out, he's sitting there and he's listening to all this, and especially young people, and especially teenagers. I don't lie. I tell them the way that I've learned it to be, because they're there and they want to know these answers, and so maybe they don't have anyone else that can share an understanding about it, why they're hearing people's voices, or why they are seeing, you know folks that have passed on, or those things, or colors around people. Anyway, so I she's asking, I'm telling, and it was a very esoteric conversation. I never heard from that brother again. That was so, he was not comfortable with that world. Well, and I understand it.
I
If I'm
get that.
sitting with you and all of a sudden
Shit.
I'm hearing something, hi, even when I go dancing, I have to, I'm usually more cautious because I'm out to have fun. And people may not be comfortable with me all of a sudden, you know, telling them things or wanting to do a esoteric dissertation about, conversation about what's going on the planet. Sometimes I do. Sometimes it's like I have to. But in general, as I said, my first husband, I can't. Okay, so we're in the yoga studio. I've invited folks over for dinner. The people that I've invited are all either psychics or astrologers or, something in that field. My husband, who he embraced and accepted me for being who I am and my friends, but I remember he's sitting at the end of the table. We're involved in these conversations, deeply involved in it. He excuses himself. He gets up and he goes out of the room. He comes back, he sits down, he goes, phew. I was like, oh my God. It was a little much for him, but he hung tough and we continued our conversations. So I don't, I'm not going to be someone that I'm not. I'm not going to lie about in anything. My age, you'll notice I'm comfortable with. And to me, numbers are just, age, as they say, is a number. There's some changes in our lives as we mature, get older, but in general, I like the maturity. So.
Well, you meeting people is probably the most, and experiencing people is probably our greatest experience that we can have. Um, I want to go to the next one because
Don't trust
okay,
this
now
man.
I think I know the answer to this, but I want to give you the opportunity. Okay, if you could pick an age or century, not this one,
Okay.
not the one that we're in. If you could pick an age or century in all of history, which would you pick?
Probably during the Kemetic times.
See, I knew,
Yeah.
I
Well,
knew it.
I know what I've
So
been through.
explain that a little bit for
Well,
our
I mean,
listeners.
I know what it's like being born in 1950. I know what that's like. 2000, 2022. I know what all that is like. I don't know what the future, so-called future is. I might have a sense, but I really don't know. But those folks, their history, what I've learned about them and their spiritual evolvement and their desire to live in a peaceful society and all the contributions. I mean, we are living off of the contributions that these people created. And that information isn't given to us for the most part, but I have a lot of that information and I've learned a lot about that. I'm trying to think of his name, it's escaping me, and I had said it, uh, Imhotep. Ooh, our first genius. People don't know that here unless they've made an effort to study this. Brilliant. He was an architect. He was just, a scientist, and all these incredible understandings to the point where they could see what was ahead, and they created methods to assist us, just like what we're doing now. We're doing what we're doing to assist those beings who are part of what's ahead. My friends who have grandchildren and great grandchildren, this is their world. But let us do what we need to do, and I say this in every time we get together. Don't give them a negative image about the life, the world in which they don't need that. They get that enough. Give them something positive, something to aspire to, and we'll see something. Do you remember the little story I told a few weeks ago when we were doing the chakras about the twin boys? Do you remember this? One was very pessimistic and one was
Oh yeah,
very optimistic.
yeah.
To me, that's always made a lot of sense to me, because the pessimistic child didn't even want to participate in life. Okay, I'll say the story real quick again. So the mother was concerned because one was so pessimistic. These are twin boys, and the other was so optimistic. She took them to a therapist. The therapist came up with an idea to put the pessimistic child in a room full of toys, and the toys that all these kids could dream of. She put the optimistic child in a room full of horse manure. They leave them alone for a while. They come back. They go first to the pessimistic child, and the child's just sitting to the side, not doing anything. And here's all these wonderful toys. And the doctor says, son, you don't like these toys? He says, yeah, I like these toys. He says, well, why aren't you playing with them? He says, well, I thought about it, but I figured if I got in there and I broke something, you and my mom are going to be very unhappy and I'm going to be punished. See, they go to the room where the optimistic child is, and in the middle of all this horse manure, he's having a great time. It's flying all everywhere. He's just having a ball. And he says, son, don't you know what this is? And the child says, yeah. He says, I know what it is, but I figure with all this horse stuff, I figure there must be a pony in there somewhere. Well, that's my feeling. I think with all of these changes, that's what I've been saying to you, all these changes, there has to be a pony in here somewhere.
I agree. You are what you make it. I mean, no
Yeah.
matter what, you are what what you decide and how you feel about it. This is a place where you are what you think about, and how you think is what is created around you. And
Right.
so, I don't know if people are born negative.
Hmm.
It's kind of it's everybody's personality is different. I wanted to say to just backtrack is about if you could pick an age or century in all
Oh,
of
yeah.
history, what would you pick? I'll just tell you what
Hmm.
I would pick.
Yes,
Okay,
please do.
um, I would have been Adam. Okay, that's who I would have been. Hey, let's get this party started. Yeah, give me that apple. What? Give me the cherry. Give me the strawberry. And I
And
could have.
you,
Oh gosh, I think your stream is coming out.
let's see. It says connecting phone calls unstable. You're on Wi-Fi. Try your router or move to be Chrome.
I think we have a little technical difficulties. I think if we can get Het Heru to restart her computer, I think that would probably help here. And I'm going to go in and just kind of start talking. We're going to stall her a second here. And then I have some other facts before she comes back in here that we can go over. There we go. There you are. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I hear you. I see you.
Oh, okay. So this is this is much better.
Okay.
Okay, good. We got you back. I only lost you for a
Hi.
second. There we go. All right. So here's the next question, and this one is going to make you think.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the terms babies?
No. What in the world? They be silly or they bees. Yep. I
Babies.
mean,
Okay. So this is a controversial question I'm going to ask you.
okay.
Okay. So
Babies.
what is the law that they want to pass is that when a child is born, okay,
Mm-hmm.
a child is born, they are not given he or she. They're
Oh,
given,
that one.
they're called a
Yeah.
baby. And that
Mm-hmm.
at 4 years old,
Mm-hmm.
at 4 years old, they get to decide on whether or not they want to be a boy or a girl.
What 4-year-old knows what the hell a boy or a girl is? So no, I don't agree with that. I
I
don't
I
know.
mean
Especially
I mean
boys. Y'all don't. Mm-mm.
I mean we're
You're
just
a little
not
slow
looking at
in
that
learning.
thing.
I know. And you still don't know what that thing is. You just know that
Exactly.
it's there and it's
Well, it's just
babies.
to me, my whole thing about this is,
Mm.
isn't this moving things a little too fast? I mean, isn't it?
I don't think
You
it's
know,
going to catch on. I don't think it's going to catch on. If
well,
their generation wants to play with that, it's just like the transgender. Is it? No, it's the one of the communities, the sexual communities in the LGB, et cetera, et
Yeah,
cetera.
the
Please forgive
alphabet,
me.
the
Yeah,
alphabet people. I'll just call
yes,
them out because I
exactly.
can't
Okay.
remember all of them. Okay.
Forgive me. I'm not,
Right.
no insult. It's
Yeah.
just, anyway, and that they don't want to be called what you just said, they want to
Right. They don't
identify
want to be
with,
called by. They don't want to give them their sex. So
right.
they're they have a
Yeah.
child. They
I
want
don't know
them.
what that's about, but I know what my sex is.
Yeah.
And I like it. Um, and I think the majority of us feel that way. However, I don't know what's ahead. I don't know what's in the future. Maybe in the future we need that, but right now, I don't think so.
Well, obviously, it's here upon us.
I didn't even know what it was, so it's not here upon all of us.
Yes. Well, I would understand that, you're not into as much the social media as I'm
Oh,
in.
okay, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not.
I
That's
mean,
true.
I'm on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, okay,
Okay.
Twitch. All right. So
Yeah.
I'm on TikTok, which one of these days it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to show
Mm-hmm.
you some TikTok videos to get your comment on.
Okay. All righty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, the whole world literally. See, this show, we do an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and it's already been kind of researched that most of the kids can only go about 3 minutes.
Interesting.
Yes, it's very interesting. And so this is
Mm.
why TikTok has literally taken off. You wouldn't believe it. I'm not. It's not that I'm suggesting it, but I am in the media, so I watch a lot of TikTok just to get the feel of what people are thinking. So,
Yeah.
which brings me to my next question: Is
Okay.
social media the new ruler?
Oh God, I hope no.
Well, I
No,
mean, this is the reason why
no.
when I brought it, this is that they kind of go hand in hand. Okay,
I understand.
you see what I mean?
It is what we accept it to be. Okay. And not again, not everyone is going to accept things the way I believe folks that are, there's all sorts of folks operating on this planet. I hear all the time about any day now the folks from other planets, so-called aliens, are going to be more out there so that we know who they are. And they will, say, yeah, I'm from planet so and so. I asked my mentor, not Indra Devi, but my uh, Frank Evans, who was an esoteric astrologer, about this. I said, well, Frank, do you believe that there are people from another planet here? He says, yes, I do. I believe there are people there from Mars, there are people from Jupiter. And he proceeded to break down the people from these different planets, what they look like, not what the movies show us, but maybe their head is a little bigger or their whatever, or their actions. When I had that yoga studio, I got all sorts of folks in there. And I had to just learn to accept them as being possibly different. As long as they were still order in there. But and because I'm around a lot of artists, people who are musical artists for the most part, the dancers, is that there's a tendency of listening to the tune of a different drummer. So just as there's a place for us, there's a place for people who, like yourself. It doesn't surprise me that you're very much into this because it's Gemini rules communication. So yes, of course, you would be into that, and there's a place for that. But no, the ruler. There are a lot of things I don't accept just because people say it is.
Well, just to let you know, let's just get it straight about me. Uh, my truck license plate is I am a UFO. So
Gee whiz, what a surprise! I am a UFO.
I'm just
Okay.
stating it right in front of
Uh,
you guys,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay.
all right. Now, I'd rather see that than a lot of things that I see. So, but yeah, living here in Vegas, okay. There are,
Oh yeah, Area
and
51. No, no.
oh my gosh, and I lived in Hollywood, and I see more what I call bizarre things here in Vegas than I did living in Hollywood. But people are being more self-expressive. They're discovering more, trying out, experimenting with things that I'm not going to do. I already did my drug stuff back in the 60s. But rather than drugs, they're doing, I guess it's being sexually directed or identification directed. It's just the planet is evolving. And, I come from a time where there are things that are going on now, and it's like, oh, Lord, what the heck is that? It is what it is.
Yeah, I think there's like a huge surplus of everyone can just do anything you want now. And I think I want to agree with you that it's it's a cycle here. Um, and so these
Yep.
kids are, and okay, again, I'm watching the TikTok here, and the people have gone from like just hooking up every single day,
Hmm.
okay,
Hooking up,
and
meaning with somebody
yes, like they,
sexually or
yes, sexually,
okay.
yes,
Hmm.
to now of realizing that they part of themselves by allowing them to be, with hookup class,
Hmm.
that has taken away their value.
Yeah.
And what to me, it's more of like it robs you of your actual essence when
Hmm.
if after a while if you're feeling used. And I think this happens more with women than it does with men.
Hmm.
But the sacredness of the womb again is very special. And so
Sure.
it's we honor, okay, as a man, my mother, honor the womb. And I think that that's part of what's missing is this. I talk a lot about being holy, and people, I think they take it wrong, just in a sense of like they may be thinking I'm saying perfect.
Hmm.
You have to be perfect, but
Yeah.
holiness is just a state of mind. Sacredness, I mean, the name of your is the sacred chamber, right?
Hmm. Right.
So, you know, there's the sacred you.
Hmm.
That's really what we kind of want to bring in a balance. Of course, you have fun, but also there's a sacredness that each one of us. That's part of what I feel is missing. That is the part
Yeah.
that's missing. That we are a spirit, we are a soul. That we're connected to spirit. We're a soul that's connected to the spirit.
But
That
look what we're doing, Michael. Okay, I mean, here you are on a social media position here, and look at what we're talking about. We're not talking about hooking up and some of the stuff that people talk about. We're talking about the wholeness within. We're talking about finding order in our lives. We're talking about a spiritual under. So there's every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. That pendulum swings. The pendulum is swinging right now. It goes to one extreme, it swings to the other extreme, and eventually it comes to the middle. And in yoga, the word is a Sanskrit word, but the English definition is yoke. We want to find that place in our lives where we are yoking. We're directing. We're the directors of our lives, not the followers.
I want to read you a quote, um, and I want to get your thoughts about it. This is from the Dalai Lama. I thought this was one of the greatest quotes I've ever seen. I want to read this to you. The Dalai Lama, when asked what surprised him most about humanity, answered, "Man,
Mhm.
because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. And then he is so anxious about the future that he does not enjoy the present, the result being that he does not live in the present or the future. He lives as if he is never going to die and then dies having never really lived."
And that's why he is called the Dalai Lama. And not you know whatever. But yeah, exactly. I wholeheartedly agree with him. But that's something that we evolve into. We evolve to the place where we want that kind of information and that kind of understanding. And I'm unique, perhaps. I don't know how that, but I started my path very early in life. I'm living kind of backwards now because I started this at 19 and I had that yoga studio at 24 and I had several hundred people who came to me weekly as their spiritual instructor. I married, my husband was much older than I. I achieved some of the things that I wanted to achieve. And by the time I got 40, it wasn't that I didn't want to do any of this. I just moved it in another direction. But as I moved toward 50, I was still moving it in another direction. Here I am in my 70s and daily dancing. Well, not quite true, but dancing a lot. But my spiritual life is a part of my being because it's been with me all my life, but I've been very aware of it since I started that path. There are things, my friends, I love them dearly. They drink, I don't. Again, I'm not putting down drinking. Okay, excuse me. And I remember we were celebrating somebody's birthday. And so they were, feeling no pain. I don't drink, so I have a different state of consciousness. I'm in there to listen to the music, enjoy my friends' company, and dance. And they were starting to get a little mischievous. And won't do that.
I think you're back.
I would do that. It wasn't bad, but it was just somebody, I didn't want that image presented. And so I simply told one friend, I said, these folks are coming on YouTube to watch me share spiritual understandings of things. And for them to see me in this picture is like a conflict. And I learned that from my yoga teacher, from Indra Devi. You walk your talk.
You got that right. All right, so we're coming up here on the top of the hour. I have one more question for you,
Okay.
And then your final thoughts.
Okay.
If you could change one thing in this world, what would it be?
Oh God, there's so many things I would like to see changed in this world.
Just pick 100.
Well, I'm looking forward to COVID being totally gone. That people can stop living in that fear. That people understand that there's more respect within the sexes. As I said, I mean, I've had the experience. My friends have had the experience. Men and women are different. That's the way it's supposed to be. And I believe men are like the dragon slayers. They slay the dragon, they bring it home and give it to the female, and she makes dragons too. In other words, you guys are out there and you're doing your thing, and sometimes it just, isn't easy, and you bring it to us to assist you, to be your partner in this. Now, at the same time, that's somewhat reversed as well, because we're in the workplace. So there some like abortion and all these other things that are going on. I look forward to women being accepted as the powerful beings that we really are.
Yeah, I know we have this Roe v. Wade thing here. Boy, there's so many statistics. I could bring up, about this. I think if there's one thing in this world I could change. It would be that we can honor each other's differences between men and women.
Okay.
And, just an interesting fact for you, by the way, HetHeru, since you brought that, the last thing you said. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a stone cold fact that 75% of the money spent in America is by women. Okay.
Is on women? Oh, we spend 75%.
Spend the money.
Yes.
The men, which tells you that the men brings the money home and gives it to the wife. Okay. Because yes, that's it.
Okay, I'm not going to challenge it.
It's a stated fact.
But what does she do with it?
Well, she pays the house note.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. All the bills, and make sure the children are right.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I meant.
But why is it that he understands that she's going to be in that responsible position? Because she is so connected to the one source, to the Most High, that she is going to be, unless she's having issues, but in general, she's going to do what she can to make the home the best it can be.
Absolutely. And that also frees. Now, the cool thing is now women can make money. You have
You
even
know,
stay-at-home dads now.
that's true, and that's
More,
good too.
you
That's
know,
good.
and so there's that whole teamwork.
Mhm.
And I think that's more. It's like more of a team as opposed to competitors. I
Yeah,
guess that's the best way.
and partners. Let
Yeah,
us be partners. So,
yeah, yeah. I love
and
that.
you said earlier, let us support the differences. That men to think of women to act like men when we're not men, and vice versa.
Right. That's yes. That's
Mm.
perfectly
And I
said.
still like it when you open my door.
I still open my wife's door.
That's
Okay,
wonderful.
I'm my mother's door. Okay, and a
Mhm,
lady's
mhm,
door.
mhm.
Okay, I'm a perfect gentleman, and that's the one thing I never change. There's no way that I cannot honor the opposite. The woman. Okay, I come from mother, baby, so I've been taught well.
Yeah,
Okay, I've been
yeah.
taught well. So, um, just what another great show. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Heru.
My pleasure. My
So
pleasure.
enjoyable just to get your perspective, and it's just looking so forward to what are we going to be talking about next week, which is the next one.
Truth, righteousness, law, order. Um,
Oh, I know what it was.
Thank you, please, because it's escaping me.
Repres-
No,
Reciprocity,
there's one before reciprocity.
balance,
Balance. No, harm. Okay. Truth, righteousness, law, order,
order. No, we
balance,
did.
harmony, reciprocity. Yeah.
Well, see, we did. This is order. And then the next week should be law, right?
Should be who? Law? That's
Law.
who. But we did that last week.
We did that last week. Okay, so
Yeah.
what do we learn?
Truth, righteousness, law, order, balance, harmony, and reciprocity. So next week would be balance.
Okay, so we got balance next week. Okay,
Hmm.
excellent, excellent.
Hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're going to get ready to go dancing here, so thank you so
Ah,
much.
it's salsa night.
I just want to, just, I love your young spirit. You just still have, just just a wonderful. You still have a youthful feel
Ah,
to you,
yeah.
by the way.
Sure.
And
Sure.
this is one of the reasons why I know I I didn't pull. I want to pull my plug here just a second before we let you go. Remember here uh, okay. We're going to be her essential oils. Okay, and
Yeah, this chart, if you're asking which oil you need, that chart helps you with that.
right. So this chart will let you pick the one that you want.
Okay.
And here's her essential oils. You want to go to her website, uh, het-heru.com. And so
Okay.
you can take a look. It's got the sample packs, and
Mm,
I'm guaranteeing you get one, you will
mm.
want them all. Okay. You have
Right.
no idea what the smell. We didn't go into that right now. Let's take a couple seconds here. That smell. This is I how I met Het Heru is by her smell of her essential
Oh
oil.
dear.
Yes,
Oh
yes.
dear.
In
Yeah.
Huntington Beach at the Living Temple. At the Living
Yeah.
Temple. So,
That's true.
all
And
right,
they're
thank
very concentrated. So just,
you.
don't feel you have to lather yourself. You only
Right.
place them on their pulse points. And I prefer essential oils to perfumes, colognes, because they are connected to your own body chemistry. The others, my experience with those with perfumes and oils, a lot of them have a lot of alcohol in them, but they sit on top of the body. They don't work with your own natural body chemistry. So
The moment I bought my favorites Metro Netter, I never have put cologne on. That was been 15 years.
yeah,
So
good.
yeah, yes, got very concentrated. We're gonna have to do a little demo here now soon, so we can go through the oils, so you can
Okay.
describe that. Maybe we can do that next week, okay?
Okay. My
Because we need
pleasure.
you people need to know these special sacred oils, and I mean
Yeah.
sacred. I
Yeah.
mean sacred.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Heru. I will
Take
talk
care,
to you next
everyone.
week.
See you next week.
Okay. Wow, what a great time here. Let's see. Age is just a number. That's right. Although you're getting ready to get your special number this week, aren't you, Lovey? I'm having mine too. The big 6'5". Yes. Oh, wow. Yes, he is the perfect gentleman. I know that's right. Well. So now here we are. There we go. We're here about balance. We're going to be talking about balance next week, but all these concepts we've been talking about is part of a puzzle. Okay? If you've ever made a puzzle, you see all the pieces, right? And then you start putting them together, but you don't see the full picture until the last piece is put in. You know, we're all striving for perfection, which means is to be the best who we can be, the best that we can be. This is about that for you. Okay, this is about that giving you as much information with all the experience that HetHeru and all the clients. So her experience is vast. It's not just coming from head knowledge, but it's coming from experience. What's interesting about HetHeru is that she started at 19 years old. Most people usually don't figure their way until way later. I mean, I could say that was part of me, okay? The final part of who you are. And so to, see that she's still dancing, and it's young thinking. And I think that we leave you with anything is to always have that childlike attitude. It doesn't take away from your maturity, but to have that openness, that getting better, that growing up. I would say, if I'm going to speak for the two of us, I would say she would agree that we're both still growing up. And that's what I'm talking about. That's what keeps you young. And that's what never makes you feel old, because there's always something around the corner. So I want to thank her for being here. And I want to thank you. A lot of you stayed right in here all the way to the end. And really, really appreciate you. We will be back next Wednesday. And I will be back tomorrow, as we're going to be talking about a whole lot of something here tomorrow. So stay tuned. I will see you tomorrow again. Thank you, HetHeru. One more shout out to about her sacred oils. Please go down. Please go to her website, HetHeru.com, and really, I'm guaranteeing you'll never be the same. You will order just one of them. Your sample pack is one of the things I remember. It's very reasonably priced, so you can try all of them. We're going to be doing a 28-day type of balancing everything here, as we're so honored to have her as her time gives. She has the time to make with us. So I will see you again. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you all. And on behalf of HetHeru, have a wonderful, wonderful evening.